This year is the 200th anniversary of the hymn Silent Night. It has become the best-loved worship moments of many Christians. Something mystical occurs as we light our candles and sing the hope of all is calm, all is bright, peace and light for the world. Throughout Advent, we will celebrate the carol's message over the entire season and highlight its call for our lives that can guide us all year long. We will be guided on our journey by calm and bright ones. They are the ones who will lead us through. It was a night when peace was born. Silent night. And just as now, the world was torn. Holy night. But all was calm and all was bright. Silent night. The star above gave out its light. Holy night. Dear people all around the world, let us unite, and we will show how peace can change us, how peace can help us grow.
They were noticed on the first Christmas Eve and have been remembered every Christmas all through the years. They were mentioned in the story, and you have all heard of them. But this is the rest of the story. They weren't angels, at least we don't think so. But after you hear the story, maybe you will think differently. They were a loving couple, and they were the innkeepers, husband and wife. His name was Mr. Calm White, Mr. Calm White, and hers was Mrs. Bright One. They had good hearts and a love for all people. They helped people, and often they helped beyond their means, always putting others before self, always finding the good in all of God's people. So think back, way back, when Joseph knocked on the door of the inn. Remember? There was no room at the inn, but the ones found a place for them in their stable. Calm One said, "Yes, go with my beloved Bright One. She will show you the way." So Mr. and Mrs. Ones, they were the ones who made a difference. Being innkeepers, their inn was full. Every room was taken. But they saw the need and the urgency of Joseph and Mary's situation. It isn't written anywhere, but I'm sure Calm was cleaning the stable as Bright found the light and blankets for their guests. You see, they just knew how to make things right. They were experts at making everything and everyone as comfortable as possible. Because of their effort, Mary and Joseph were warm and dry and grateful. Nobody could have imagined how many guests would come in that stable as the hours went by. But the ones knew. They knew that this was special, that they helped where they could to make everything comfortable, just like they did for each guest after a long journey. Mr. and Mrs. One made an impression because they never stopped caring or helping or giving of themselves. Mr. Calm one and Mrs. Bright one made a difference which allowed a simple stable and a manger to be made into something special. They didn't do things to be noticed, but they played a huge part. They may have had no room at the inn, but that Calm and Bright, they were the ones, all right. They made a difference.
Hey, Bright, what a day we had. The inn is full, and I'll tell you, I'm beat. We are so blessed.
Oh, we've had a long day, and we are weary, but I love what we do.
Who could that be? Can't they read the sign? We don't have any room. Let's go check it out. Hello?
Hello, I'm Joseph, and this is Mary. Do you have any, I know your sign says you're full. Do you have any room at the inn for us?
Hi, we're the ones. This is Bright, I'm Calm. We're the innkeepers here. We have no vacancies. We're full. I don't know what we can do for you.
She's really, really pregnant. And they look so tired. Come, we've got to do something.
But what can we do, Bright? We have no room.
What about the stable?
That's a great idea. Let me get some things to clean up a little bit. You get some blankets and a light, and I'll meet you there.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Just.
That's why you're the bright one. Dun, 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 dun. Boy, that cleaned up nicely. Looks good.
Come.
That was a great idea.
Come. Make yourselves as comfortable as you can.
Welcome.
We are sick.
Please sit. Have a mic. Look, Bright, the shepherds. The shepherds are coming from the hills. Come join us. There's plenty of room.
Sit.
Sit on your blanket. Perfect.
Sit.
Come witness this amazing event. Bright, this is going to be something very special. I can just feel it in my bones.
Oh, I feel the same way too, Colin. This is the beginning of something that's very special.
Bright, you were the one that made the difference this year.
We need the difference.
Thank We enter this Advent season of waiting by lighting this first candle, anticipating the light of the star that shone over Bethlehem for all to see. Advent, God, we open ourselves to hear your call today, to become the ones who not only wait, but also work for peace in our lives, our families, our communities, and our world. Fill us with your peace and light. Make the world so calm and bright.
people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in a land of deep darkness, on them has light shone.
You have multiplied the nation. You have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as with joy at harvest, as they are glad when they divide the spoil. For the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, you have broken as on the day of Midian.
For every boot of the tramping warrior in battle, helmet and every garment rolled in blood will be burned as fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace.
Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end. On the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. moment to pause and just ponder the beauty here in the chancel area. The worship team did an outstanding job this year, did they not? Opening the Advent season with the Isaiah text is essentially to lay the prophetic vision of peace that would have been the text on the lips of the Jewish people of Jesus' time. The descriptors of a king in Isaiah 9 who would bring the people out of oppression repeats again in Luke and Matthew. While Isaiah would have been referring to a king of Judah in this reference, what this sets up is the people's understanding that peace depended on just and compassionate rulers, which at the time was a stark contrast to Caesar, who had created peace by suppressing human rights. So at this time, the Jews had a great yearning for freedom, a great need for light. In our review of Isaiah, there is a realization that God is not just about future plans, but present promises here and now. In the midst of that which creates despair and darkness, God's light shines as that which is the fulfillment of all that we need and everything that we could possibly wish for. In that stark contrast, we see also that contrast between darkness and light. A life of misery, darkness, and uncertainty under the influence of idolatry. And then a life of riches, freedom, and triumph under the rule of a righteous king. As the nations move closer to God, they radiate the light of God. They simply reflect it. This is our call too. We will see this repeated throughout the Advent season, and thus the stars and the light that we've added into this visual space and these candles that we'll be lighting every week during prayer time, which I'll talk about. Our hope is that they will help us to come closer to God's radiance and to take that radiance, to take that amazing light and walk it out into the world. This morning in this beautiful place with that beautiful choir, with candles burning and visions of cute little shepherds and Mary and Joseph, it shines away all of the darkness. And we're reminded that this is not just a claim for or because of Jesus, but it points to the very nature of who God is and who God has always been. When these candles are extinguished, when we move from this place this morning, when we move out into the world, that promise is exactly what we need to take with us. You see, this promise, this truth which we seek, that truth that we're hungry for and that we need more than anything, is God's gift of grace. The only gift of the season that we need, really. The only one that will last beyond the 26th. The only one that won't leave you with a large credit card bill, a mess in your house. But the question is, will you accept it? Will you really open up your heart and your mind and your soul and accept it? We're going to be exploring the Silent Night hymn over the next 4 weeks. And in our way, it's a way of shining a light on what we can do as we accept God's gift of grace. Because through this grace, we are empowered to reach out across divides. We're able to get silent enough to listen to the hopes and fears of all the years. Of those we tend to cast as the enemy, or simply those people that are just different. The one reason or another, we separate ourselves from them. And as we move through all that is calm and bright this Advent season, may we bear witness to this powerful reminder that we each have the agency to reach out across the divides, to reach out and connect with others, because, let's face it, we're all humans. We all have the same common human needs: to love and to be loved. Isn't that really it? I was with some friends this weekend. We were listening to country music. One of the younger members of the crowd said, "Country music, it's all about, beer, whiskey, and love, and dogs, and your pickup truck." All right, I might agree. But aren't just about all songs about love? One way or another? Even if in the country genre we mix in some beer, whiskey, and pickup trucks? Isn't it all really about love? Because deep down, that's what this life is. Deep down, to love and be loved is all we need and all we want. It's all that we have, this desire for love and peace for ourselves and for our children. Remembering what God has done for us and the birth of Jesus, which we're celebrating this season, we're reminded that it's about what we, God's children and followers of the Prince of Peace, can do now. What we can do in the midst of conflict and fear in the 21st century. The fact is that darkness from oppression and fear and all of those things that were troubling Isaiah and the people to which he was speaking are essentially the same things that are troubling us today. And what we can do today, right now, this Advent season, is to help our families, our communities, our world to hang on to our humanity. To hang on to the humanity of each other in the face of brutality, violence, and division. What can we do to continue to love one another and to care about those we don't even know? Well, so much around us shouts out for us to not like other people, to hate them, to fear them, to really just give up on that idea of peace. Forget about it. That's not going to happen in your lifetime. How do we move away from that? How can we meaningfully, really and truly and sincerely pray for our enemies, for those people that we think are our enemies? The truth is, there's lots of ways to prevent violence, lots of ways to repair its consequences, lots of ways to build a beloved community. In a polarized society, there may be no more effective violence prevention than simply building bridges. Building bridges. How do we build a bridge? Now, Skip would build it one way. We know how Skip would build a bridge. He would build a bridge with a hammer and some nails and some lumber. But if you know Skip, he would also build it in the way that we're talking about today. Get to know at least one person who lives and votes and sees the world differently than you do. One person. And then keep moving. It's not necessarily easy, but it's necessary. And over the years, through the history of conflict, transformation from conflict, proves that it works. Start with a person of different views with whom you feel most comfortable. Just get to know each other. And by doing this very thing, we are bringing more peace into this world. By coming together, by making connections, by breaking down division, one person at a time, we are bringing peace into this world. And by doing this is the work that we can do to be the ones. May we be the ones this Advent season, where all